Hey guys, I know I'm not supposed to be uploading every day anymore, but this just keeps happening. So, I just watched the Percy Jackson episode 4, and it was also very good. Inaccurate, but great. This one adapts chapters 12 and 13 from the books, and when I say 12 and 13, I mean mostly 13 and lightly chapter 12. It takes a lot of elements from that section of the book. It's about 2 chapters, but switches out some stuff, adds some stuff in, and remixes some concepts that are going to be very interesting to see how they play out differently in the show. And also adding more character to some of the characters that barely appear. I think that spending more time on the train was a really good idea, and because they didn't lose their money, we didn't have to do the whole poodle thing of them getting lost in the woods for a little bit. So we just got straight onto the train. We got some extra conversation between Annabeth and Percy. That stuff was really, really nice. We also have... Let me just go through the episode in total. So, the episode starts with Percy and his mom when he, as a child, just a memory of her telling him to breathe and trying that he can do it, and then he tells her to breathe because she's stressed out, and it turns into a dream sequence, classic Percy Jackson dream sequence. It leads to Percy talking with Annabeth about gods and Thalia, and also so Percy can just really... This Percy is different from the books, to a certain degree. It's more that no one's telling him he's wrong. In the books, everyone's trying to tell him, hey, the gods, you roll with it. They love you deep down. But no one's really telling him that he's wrong about it. He's just very he's very able to vent more here instead of people trying to tell him that, hey, I think that you actually do like your dad. He's able to rant about that and very upset about that, and he also gets to learn a little bit more about Annabeth. He gets Annabeth's lore, which that's good, that happened in this part of the book too. There's some things that don't happen here, but that's just because they happened earlier, like him getting the idea of Grover and Thalia, Grover being their protector, the whole thing with Luke and everything. He understood it. And also we got a little bit more into Annabeth's head about how she feels that the society that they live in, the whole thing of the gods, you do specific things, then you get a specific reward, works better for her because she can't, with people, she feels people do the same thing about having to earn affection and all that other stuff, and earn respect and earn all those other things. But at least with gods, the rules are consistent, so she can thrive in that world. While Percy is very much not a fan of the idea because his upbringing was different, with a mother who loved him no matter what, and he never had to go out of his way to earn that. That's a good character riff for them to have, but also for them to not hate each other. I like that. I like that a lot. I also like that the echidna attack happens on the train. Well, at least starts there, because right after this, they talk. We get some info on Grover about Pan. A lot of exposition. I think that the show's doing its best to work with the exposition in as best as it can without being jarring, by trying to keep the pace up. Because in the book, they had Rick Riordan traditionally has a problem of exposition kind of coming up out of nowhere. It doesn't you feel when you're in exposition. The show also has that problem, but I think it's trying to flow it in with active things more. Instead of Percy just talking with Grover, and then Grover just goes dang, man, humans ruin everything, and then we go on a whole spiel about Pam, he sees the centaurs, which did happen in the book, and then they mention, man, there used to be more of them. So at least it flows into the normal flow of conversation more than it would normally from the book, which I also appreciate. But back to the echidna thing, I like that they get attacked on the train. And also, I like this trend that they've been doing by having the bad guys talk first. Because in the book, a lot of the time, the bad guys wouldn't really talk for too long. Auntie M did, like Medusa did, because Medusa was a highlight. But Echidna didn't do that. Echidna in the book just showed up while they were at the St. Louis Arch, just there, and she just showed up and then attacked Percy Jackson, and then and that was it. That was her whole bit. Here adds a whole new level of fear, and also shows how not dumb our main characters are. A thing with a big difference that I've been noticing between the book and the show is that the show is more willing to let the characters be on the up and up, and also for things to not be their fault. In the book, they stopped at the St. Louis Arch because Annabeth really wanted to stop it. They had no real reason to go there besides just wanting to check it out, which, is fine in the book. Like, technically they still got surprise attack, but they shouldn't really be going around sightseeing right now. They should be worried about how to get to the next place. So, in the show, they head to the St. Louis Arch because they see it as a refuge for Athena. How are they going to get attacked? Well, they do a thing that the book never really did. They followed up on the Medusa's head thing. The Medusa's head thing from the last episode in the book kind of gets dropped off as more of a plot point for the end of the book, and also to show, so the gods can go like, yeah, we were kind of a little angry when you did that, but it was kind of cool, it was kind of sick. You were riding that fine line though. It's like, it doesn't really have any active effects on the story. It doesn't harm the adventure. Something that Percy did not harm the adventure. This time, it loses them an easy form of protection, because when Echidna and her chimera are chasing them down, Athena's temple is no longer a protected area because Athena is upset with Annabeth because of the impertinence, which causes a whole nother problem. I also like that Percy gets poisoned pretty early, just to show his healing properties, actually how they work, because they try to use any water and it doesn't really work, and they realize that they have to get into a river, and because that would be closer to running water. That's a good, because that's a thing that happens in the books, but they don't really it was a good way to get that out of the way, and also to let us know Percy's not winning the fight, and also for Percy to feel really bad. Percy, I can't wait to see how this is going to pay off in the next episode and future episodes, because Percy feels a little bit more guilty for screwing up Annabeth's relationship with her mom. He's going to feel that weight just a little bit. I also like how throughout the episode, Percy is even warming up to Annabeth, and Annabeth is warming up vice versa, and he doesn't want to lose that. So I love when Percy pretends to give her the sword and then pulls her out and then goes himself, even though he is not gonna win that fight. I'm so glad that they went out of their way to do that, and also, I'm just glad that the show, again, I cannot stress enough, the directing is great. The cinematography is good. They're doing a good job making scenes look interesting and have some really good shots. I cannot stress enough how impressed I am constantly with that. I think the adult actors, again, are doing a great job. Echidna gave a great performance. I really felt the dread. The tension was crazy. I think that Percy's actor actually did a pretty good job this time, and Annabeth's actor is getting a little bit better. So the kids are improving. I'm believing their performances more. I got to give credit to the makeup department, and also his performance to sell the fact that he was being poisoned. It was good. It was good. All of it was good. And I love the fact that while inaccurate, we're still covering every single major beat from the book, and we're doing it in a way that fits the medium better. If you copied the book verbatim, the first 20 minutes of this episode would just be exposition, which would make for a terrible episode. It would just be exposition with Grover about Pam, exposition about Annabeth's lore, exposition about how Percy feels, the dream sequence, more exposition, more exposition, the St. Louis hour build-up, and then we would get a 5-minute action scene to end the episode. It would become a terrible episode. It's fine in a book when you're reading a larger thing all at once. Having lulls is not really a big deal, but like if you wait a week for an episode, you would not want it to just be talking. And I think that the episodes are making a really good pace of having dialogue and setup, then having an action scene or tension carry over for a long period of time. So they don't have to waste a bunch of money on big expansion action scenes that they don't obviously have the money for, but they still get the same feelings across of tension. In the book, it was about like, oh, is Hades watching us right now? Who's watching? Someone could be watching. And in the show, it's they're actively being chased and they have to hide. But now they have no protection. What are they going to do? They're not going to win this fight. It's good. The characters are on the back foot. They don't win every fight because they were getting a little confident. They were feeling themselves just a little bit. They were getting too many W's. They got the Fates easy. They got Medusa easy. So it was good that they actually got a pretty bad, got a pretty big L, honestly. They were not going to win this fight. And I'm excited to see how they keep adapting it. This adaptation has proven that changing the source material can be good if it's to improve the pacing or elevate it in a different medium. And I am so glad to be proven right after episode 3 that this is a great direction for it to go. So if they keep adding new things and keep taking away things and remixing things and spreading them across, setting up for the future better, I am mad looking forward to it. I hope they get into the Pam stuff with Grover because they cut a lot of that, and I think that they could get to that maybe in the next episode or so if they really want to, or they could even delay that until later, because they're not bringing up a lot of the things with Grover. I think Percy and Annabeth are getting the screen time that they need. I think Grover is getting different characteristics than he had from the book, but he's not getting the same motivations that he had, at least not actively. I think that his if they're gonna cut anything, they always cut Grover's stuff. And I understand that Percy and Annabeth are the favorites, Percy and Annabeth are the OTP, Percy and Annabeth are gonna be around a lot more than Grover is, because Grover gets sidelined in book 2 and in book 4 and in book 5. He's there, but outside of book 1 and book 3, he is not actively a part of the story the full time. So, I understand why they would have that issue and decide if we're going to cut anything, cut Grover, because he's the least important one of the 3. But I do think that Grover does still deserve respect to his storyline. Even though his storyline is objectively pretty simple, he becomes a pretty powerful force later on in the series. So I hope they don't forget about him. And that's me talking about episode 4. I'll see you guys next week for more Percy Jackson updates.